Clarity is the foundation of power. When you know exactly what you are aiming for, distractions lose their grip on your life. Most people wander through their days reacting to whatever comes their way because they have never taken the time to define what they really want. When you live without clarity, life will pull you in 100 directions, and none of them will take you where you are supposed to go. But the moment you decide with conviction what matters to you, the noise begins to fade. Clarity acts like a filter. It teaches you what to say yes to, and just as importantly, what to say no to. Without clarity, even good opportunities can become distractions, because not every good thing is a God thing for your life. You must learn that being busy is not the same as being productive. Many people are busy doing things that have nothing to do with their destiny. But when you are clear, every action, every decision, every step becomes intentional. Think of an archer pulling back the bow. If they do not have a target, all that energy is wasted. But the moment they set their eyes on the bull's eye, every ounce of strength is directed with precision. That is what clarity does for you. It gives you a target, and once you have that target, your energy is no longer scattered. Some people say they are tired, burned out, and overwhelmed, but the truth is they are just unfocused. Energy without direction always leads to exhaustion. Energy with direction leads to transformation. When you stop chasing everything, you start catching the right things. The reason many people feel stuck is not because they lack ability, because they lack focus. You can be talented and gifted, but if your gifts are spread too thin, you will never see the full potential of what is inside you. Clarity also builds confidence. When you know where you are going, you stop second-guessing every move. You do not need the approval of everyone around you because your vision gives you security. Clarity silences the voices of doubt. It silences the people who tell you it cannot be done. Because when you are clear, you realize that other people's opinions are not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to pursue what God placed inside of you. There is a power that rises in a person who is focused, a fire that cannot be extinguished by criticism or fear. You stop looking for permission and start giving yourself permission to step into what you were created to do. But clarity is not something that just happens. It is something you cultivate. You must be intentional about defining what matters most to you. That means asking yourself hard questions. What is my purpose? What are my priorities? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? And what am I doing today to get there? Without honest reflection, you will end up living someone else's plan for your life. The world will always have a plan for you. Do this, buy that, chase this dream, follow that trend. But true fulfillment only comes when you have taken the time to discover your own vision. When you are clear about who you are and where you are going, you become immune to comparison. You no longer look at what someone else is because you are too busy building what belongs to you. Clarity also simplifies life. It is amazing how much lighter you feel when you are not trying to do everything. The more specific your vision, the easier it is to eliminate distractions. You begin to value your time, your energy, and your relationship differently. Some people and opportunities will no longer fit because they do not align with where you are going, and that is okay. Focus requires pruning. You cannot hold on to everything and still grow. Just like a gardener's branches so the plant can bear more fruit, you must be willing to cut away the things that keep you from your highest potential. That might mean saying no to activities that used to be fun, declining invitations that waste your time, or distancing yourself from people who drain your energy. Every no creates space for the right act. Clarity creates a powerful sense of purpose. You stop waking up dreading the day because you know what you are working toward. You have direction. Direction produces passion. When your goals align with your purpose, even hard work feels meaningful. You stop feeling like life has happened to you and start realizing that life is happening for you. You understand that every small action, every disciplined choice, effort is an investment in your future self. That is how transformation happens, not overnight, but through clear, consistent focus. When you gain clarity, you stop being tossed around by the storms of life. Instead, you become anchored. You still face challenges, but they do not knock you off course because you know where you are going. You no longer live for applause because you realize that true success is not about impressing others, but fulfilling your calling. Clarity sharpens your vision, strengthens your decisions, and gives you the courage to keep moving even when the road gets hard. It is not enough to hope for a better life. You must define what that life looks like and then discipline yourself to pursue it with everything you have. When you get clear, you get powerful. Discipline is the bridge between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. It is not just about working hard for a moment. It is about committing to a consistent process that reshapes your habits, your mindset, and ultimately your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are training yourself to become someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than the person you were yesterday. True transformation, not a single dramatic event, but the accumulation of small intentional decisions made day after day. The problem for many people is that they want the reward without the routine, the success without the sacrifice. They crave the end result, but resist the process that produces it. But discipline is what separates dreamers from doers. It is not enough to have vision. Vision without discipline is just a wish. When you are disciplined, you learn to do what needs to be done even when you do not feel like it. Feelings are fleeting. Discipline is stable. Successful people are not always more talented, but they are more consistent. They show up when it is inconvenient. They work when it is uncomfortable. They push through when it would be easier to quit. Each act of discipline strengthens your character like lifting weights strengthens a muscle. It is in the moments of struggle, when you want to give up, that you are actually being forged into someone new. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens in challenge. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you are telling yourself, I am not staying the same. Discipline also requires structure. You cannot hope to become the best version of yourself while living by chance. You must create habits, routines, and boundaries that align with your goals. If you do not intentionally design your life, life will design it for you. And usually that design will lead to mediocrity. People often underestimate the power of small, consistent habits. Waking up earlier, reading every day, working on your craft for just 1 hour consistent. These choices compound over time until the results become undeniable. What looks insignificant today becomes transformational tomorrow. But the enemy of discipline is distraction. We live in a world full of constant noise, entertainment, and instant gratification. Discipline requires saying no to what is easy so you can say yes to what is meaningful. You must protect your focus like a treasure because what you give your attention to will shape your destiny. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it changes how you see yourself. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you build self-respect. You begin to believe in your own word. Confidence is not built by telling yourself you can do it. It is built by proving to yourself that you can. You no longer see yourself as someone who quits or makes excuses. You see yourself as someone capable of following through. This inner transformation is powerful because once you begin to trust yourself, you stop relying on external validation. You no longer need others to cheer you on because your consistency becomes your own reward. People around you will notice the change before you even realize it. They will see the strength, the focus, and the growth, and you will seem unrecognizable to those who once knew you as inconsistent or average. Discipline also teaches you the value of delayed gratification. We live in a culture that celebrates instant results, but real success is rarely instant. It is the product of years of preparation and unseen effort. Discipline teaches you to plant seeds today without demanding a harvest tomorrow. It reminds you that progress is not always visible in the moment, but every act of obedience to your goals is adding up. Eventually, the results will speak for themselves. The new identity you are building through discipline will become so evident that people will no longer remember the old version of you. The person who once procrastinated will become the person who gets things done. The one who used to doubt will become the one who dares to lead. It is important to understand that discipline is not punishment, it is preparation. It is not about depriving yourself, but about shaping yourself for something greater. Athletes train for months for a few moments of competition. Musicians practice for years for a few minutes on stage. Likewise, your discipline today is shaping you for opportunities that have not yet arrived. When the doors finally open, you will not just walk through them. You will be ready to thrive in them because you built the strength, the resilience, and the capacity to handle success. Transformation is not about wishing for another life. It is about building it brick by brick through disciplined choices. When you commit to this process, the old you begins to fade. People who once knew you will barely recognize you because your habits, your mindset, and your results will no longer look the same. Discipline does not just change what you do, it changes who you are. That is why it is so powerful, because as you grow, you do not just achieve more, you become more. Sacrifice is the price of transformation, and it is the one that most people are unwilling to pay. Everybody wants success, but very few are willing to let go of the comfort, approval, and pleasures that keep them stagnant. Sacrifice is never easy because it requires giving up something you enjoy now for something greater in the future. It is a trade-off of temporary satisfaction and long-term fulfillment. The truth is, you cannot stay where you are and become who you are meant to be at the same time. Growth always demands that you leave something behind. Old habits, old environments, old ways of thinking, and sometimes even old relationships. There is a reason why success feels lonely in the beginning, because when you decide to sacrifice, automatically separate yourself from the crowd. The majority of people choose comfort over calling. They would rather be accepted by everyone than be set apart for something greater. But when you truly desire transformation, you stop worrying about fitting in. You stop trying to please everyone. Sacrifice will cost you the approval of people who do not understand your vision. They will question why you are so serious, why you are always working, why you are no longer available for everything you used to do. They may call you obsessed or say you have changed. And the truth is, you have changed. Sacrifice always creates distance between who you were and who you are becoming. Sacrifice also is how badly you want it. Dreams that do not cost you anything are not real dreams. They are just wishes. The moment you decide to pursue something greater, life will demand proof of your commitment. Are you willing to wake up earlier? Are you willing to stay disciplined when no one is watching? Are you willing to invest your time, your resources, and even your pride to grow? Because success will not meet you halfway. You have to go all in. There will be days when it feels like you are giving up everything and receiving nothing in return. But sacrifice is never wasted. It is planting seeds in a season where the soil looks dry. It is trusting that what you are letting go of now will produce something far greater later. The reason sacrifice is so hard is because it requires faith. You have to believe that what you are building is worth more than what you are leaving behind. The people who achieve great things are not always the most talented, but they are always the most willing to pay the price. They know that comfort is a thief. It steals your potential while making you feel safe. If you are too attached to comfort, you will never experience growth. Comfort is the enemy of greatness because it convinces you that where you are is good enough. But sacrifice refuses to settle. Sacrifice says, I would rather be uncomfortable now than live with regret later. It is important to realize that sacrifice is not just about losing. It is about making space for more. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you create room for what you truly need. Every time you choose to sacrifice something temporary, you are building a foundation for something permanent. Letting go of distractions gives you time to focus. Letting go of unhealthy habits gives you the energy to grow. Letting go of certain relationships gives you peace to pursue your calling. Each sacrifice becomes an investment. And like any investment, the return is greater than the cost. But sacrifice will not make sense to everyone. You must be prepared for misunderstanding. People who are unwilling to change will always criticize those who are. When you start to separate yourself through sacrifice, it becomes obvious who is serious about growth and who is not. That is why sacrifice is so powerful. It automatically fills out the people and things that cannot go with you to the next level. Your new life will always cost you your old one. You cannot hold on to both. There will be moments when sacrifice feels unfair. When you look at others who seem to be enjoying life while you are grinding in the background. But remember, the process is not permanent. The people who play now will pay later, but the people who pay now will play later. You are not missing out. You are building up. Every sacrifice is shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for blessings you could not handle if you stayed the same. Sacrifice transforms you because it forces you to rise above mediocrity. It teaches you discipline, patience, and resilience. It gives you the ability to say no in everything and you want to say yes. It molds you into someone with the strength to carry the weight of your destiny. The life you want will demand a version of you that does not exist yet, and sacrifice is how you give birth to that version. When you finally step into the life you have been working for, when you see the rewards of your consistency and faith, you will realize every sacrifice was worth it. The people who doubted you will be silent. The friends who left you behind will wonder how you made it. And you will look back and know that what you gave up could never compare to what you gained. Growth often happens in the quiet seasons, the seasons where no one is watching, applauding, or cheering you on. Before anyone recognizes your success, you must go through a period of isolation where you build yourself in secret. This is the part of the journey that most people skip over when they talk about success, but it is the most important. It is in isolation that you confront your weaknesses, strengthen your discipline, and clarify your vision. When you are alone with your thoughts and your goals, you have the space to discover who you really are without the noise of the world trying to find you. Many people fear isolation because they associate it with loneliness, but there is a difference between being lonely and being set apart. When you are lonely, you feel incomplete, but when you are set apart, you are being prepared. Growth requires separation because not everyone is meant to understand or support the process you are going through. Some people cannot handle the version of you that is committed to change. They will misunderstand your silence, your focus, and your distance. They may assume you have become proud or too good for them, but what is really happening is that you are prioritizing your purpose over their approval. Isolation is where you build the habits and skills that will sustain you once the spotlight finds you. Success without preparation is dangerous because it can destroy you as quickly as it promotes you. Too many people want to recognize before they are ready. They want the applause without the development. But when you grow in isolation, you are developing the strength to handle the pressure that comes with recognition. You are building the foundation that will keep you steady when life gets louder. The applause will come later. But first, you must endure the silence. The seasons of isolation are uncomfortable because they expose what is inside you. Without distractions, you are left with your own thoughts, doubts, and fears. It is in these moments that you are forced to decide if you truly want what you say you want. Anyone can talk about greatness when life is easy, but isolation reveals who is serious about their goals. It forces you to be accountable to yourself. There is no audience to impress, no one to validate your progress, just you, your discipline, and your vision. This is where real growth happens because transformation is always personal before it becomes public. Isolation also teaches you to stop depending on external validation. When you are no longer motivated by likes, comments, or applause, you become unstoppable. Your reason for working hard shifts from pleasing people to fulfilling your purpose. You stop comparing your journey to others because you realize growth cannot be rushed. Everyone's process looks different, and comparison only distracts you from your own lane. Isolation allows you to focus deeply on your own development without the pressure of meeting other people's expectations. It is in this season that you learn the value of patience. Growth is not instant. Seeds take time to break through the soil, and so does your potential. While no one is watching, while it looks like nothing is happening, your roots are growing deeper. You are becoming stronger in ways that cannot yet be seen. If you skip the season of isolation, you miss the very foundation that will sustain your success. Every great leader, artist, or achiever has a store of private preparation before public recognition. They spent years in the background perfecting their craft, strengthening their mind, and developing the habits that would later make them extraordinary. The danger of recognition without preparation is that it gives you opportunities your character cannot sustain. Success exposes who you really are. If you do not do the inner work in private, you will crumble under the weight of what you thought you were ready for. That is why isolation is not punishment. It is protection. It shields you from being seen too soon. It gives you time to grow into the person who can handle the responsibilities that come with greatness. And when the time comes, when your preparation meets opportunity, people will see the results and think it happened overnight. They will call you lucky or gifted, not realizing that you spent years in silence building the version of yourself they now admire. They will see the glory but not the grind. They will celebrate the outcome but never understand the cost. That is the beauty of isolation. It transforms you so deeply that by the time recognition arrives, you are unshackable. Do not fear the season where no one knows your name, where no one sees your work. Embrace it. This is where you are becoming the person who will walk boldly in every door God has prepared for you. This is where you grow beyond who you used to be. Recognition is temporary, but growth is permanent. When you focus on becoming better in private, the public rewards will take care of themselves. The time you spend in isolation will be the reason you can stand strong when the world finally takes notice. Becoming unrecognizable is the clearest evidence of true change. Transformation is not about slightly improving who you are. It's about evolving into a version of yourself that your old self would barely recognize. When you commit to growth, discipline, and sacrifice, there comes a point where the results are so evident that people cannot deny the difference. They look at you and realize you're not the same person who used to waste time, procrastinate, complain, or settle for less. You carry yourself differently, think differently, and act differently. This shift is not about pretending to be someone else. It is about becoming the person you were always meant to be. The process of becoming unrecognizable starts internally long before anyone else notices. It begins with the decisions you make in private, the habits you form, and the mindset you build when no one is watching. You start breaking old patterns that kept you small. You begin saying no to things that once controlled you. Over time, these small, consistent changes compound until one day, the life you live is completely different from the one you used to know. People who knew you before may not understand how you changed, but they cannot ignore that you did. Becoming unrecognizable often requires letting go of parts of your identity that were never really you. Many of us hold on to labels: lazy, inconsistent, undisciplined, fearful, because they feel familiar. But when you grow, you shed those labels. You start seeing yourself not as who you have been, but as who you can be. And as you grow, you stop trying to prove yourself to the world, because your progress becomes proof on its own. When people see your work ethic, your success, and your transformation, they do not need convincing. They can see the results. But this kind of transformation is not easy, because it demands that you leave behind comfort habits and even relationships that no longer fit who you are becoming. The people around you may resist your growth. Some will try to pull you back to who you used to be because your change makes them uncomfortable. Others will doubt your new identity, assuming that your progress is temporary. But staying the same to keep others comfortable will cost you your future. You cannot evolve while holding on to everything and everyone from your past. Growth requires courage, and courage will sometimes make you misunderstood. The beauty of becoming unrecognizable is that it inspires others. When people see what you have become, it gives them hope that they can change too. Your life becomes evidence that growth is possible, that discipline pays off, that sacrifice is worth it. Many people talk about what they want to do, but very few actually follow through. When you change so much that your old life no longer fits you, you stand out, not because you try to impress anyone, but because you refuse to stay average. This transformation does not happen all at once. It is a slow, deliberate process of growth. Every new habit, every discipline choice, every sacrifice is a brick in the foundation of the person you are becoming. Over time, the gap between your old self and your new self widens so much that the two are almost unrecognizable to each other. You stop seeing life the way you used to. You no longer react the same way to challenges. You think differently about opportunities, time, and relationships. You carry a sense of purpose and confidence that you never had before. By the time you reach that level of transformation, people will ask you how you did it. They will assume there was some shortcut or secret, but you will know the truth, that it was built in the unseen moments of consistency and faith. The unrecognizable version of you is not a coincidence. It is the product of focus, hard work, and the willingness to grow when it was uncomfortable. When you look back on your journey, you will realize that the sacrifices, the discipline, the seasons of isolation, all of it was necessary. You could not have become who you are without letting go of who you were. And the greatest reward of this transformation is not just success or recognition. It is knowing that you became everything you were capable of being. You stepped into your full potential. You refused to waste your life living beneath what you were called to do. Becoming unrecognizable is proof that real change is possible. It shows that you do not have to remain who you had always been. You can rewrite your story. You can break cycles. You can rise above every limitation that once held you back. And when you do, you will realize that the best version of yourself was always waiting for you to choose growth over comfort. The old you will be a distant memory, and the new you will be living proof of what happens when you focus so hard that nothing about you stays the same. Everything about your life changes when you decide to focus with relentless intensity. Clarity gives you direction. Discipline shapes your character. Sacrifice separates you from the ordinary. Isolation prepares you for greatness. And transformation becomes undeniable when you refuse to settle for less. This journey is not about impressing others. It is about becoming everything God created you to be. You cannot carry the old version of yourself into the life you are destined for. You must be willing to let go to work in silence, to stay consistent when it feels thankless, and to believe that the version of you on the other side of focus is far greater than the version you are today. One day, people will look at you and not recognize who you have become, not because you pretended to be someone else, but because you finally stepped into the fullness of who you are. Your growth will speak louder than your words. Your results will silence the doubts. And your transformation will be the testimony that proves that focus, discipline, and intentional living changes everything. Do not fear the hard work. Do not resist the process. Because when you decide to focus so hard that you become unrecognizable, you unlock a life you once thought was impossible, and you will never want to go back.